you know, I can be prepared for that for future conversation.
It's a 24-hour operation.
It's, I mean, yes, except for you wouldn't know. It's just like, you know, a grocery store has groceries on the shelf. It's not like there's an IT guy that might man it, but it's not like a 24-hour operation where you'd have cars coming in out of the day, you know, 24 hours.
Steve, just my experience with data centers, the ones that I've worked on are like 4 times larger than this, but they, on any given shift, they might have 25 people.
Yeah.
So it's a really low. Now, again, if you went to the office space at a 50,000 square foot, you might be looking at, you know, 200 people. So that's
would be peak hours, as it wouldn't be overnight and that kind of thing.
right. Those would be probably during daytime hours. Yeah.
But again, so just so we're clear, I mean, a lot of work would have to go into it on all ends to make it a data center happen here. It's something we're interested in doing, but again, I don't want to tell you that it's allowable right now. It's something that would have to be, you know, worked through with the township.
And they would have a lot more problem, I'm assuming, Steve, putting office space in there with lack of amenities in the area. Like, is everyone going to go to Wawa for lunch? Like,
Or something wrong with that.
not my Wawa. If I were to wait long enough.
It's good for the industrial portion of, or sorry, the commercial portion of Jones Motor. So
Yes.
just keep that in mind.
Yeah, fair point.
All right.
With the home building stay, Jay talked all the way to switch, with the home building stay and the other brick buildings, would they be rehab or they be torn down and replaced with new buildings?
At this time, the haunt building would stay. It is in the historic core that we kind of called about. There could be a future phase where it is removed, but at this point, it would stay.
Okay, 'cause I was just kind of trying to figure out.
I can show you.
It looked like it was redone. Yeah, it looked like it would be this spot here.
No, it's actually, you turn around, so it's this one right here.
Okay.
That's the haunt, and then that's the building that we
Right. Okay. But there was essentially torn down at some point.
Maybe, yes, in the future.
That's fine. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you again. Nicole Klein, McMahon Associates. So we have done some preliminary traffic work on this site. And, you know, obviously we have a lot of details to work through, but I did want to give some overview discussion and certainly, you know, gather questions and answer those to the best of my ability at this stage. So within the presentation, the next slide shows some mapping. So we did want to talk about and kind of kick off the discussion on traffic and really, you know, the transportation infrastructure in this area, you know, with a look at what's existing. You know, there are a lot of properties in this area of the township. There's a variety of uses, including some, you know, public services. And when we look at the map, this map shows all roadways through the township that are public, whether they be state owned or township owned. And when we zero in, and we've showed it on the right, zeroing in on this area of the township, there's no road infrastructure shown on the map. And we know there's roads there, but the reality is they're all private. And they are in various states in terms of their existing conditions. Some of them are better than others. Some of them are pretty narrow. And so, you know, we would certainly understand why those would not have been taken on by the township, you know, to date. The next slide just shows, you know, reinforcing that through an aerial. We know and certainly don't need to tell anyone in this room that there are roadways in that area, but the fact of the matter is they are all privately owned. So when we flip to the next slide, it's a representation of the plan that Mike talked through of the development area. And we've just highlighted in green the new and or improved roadways that would be provided within this redevelopment plan. And it really provides a continuous opportunity for potentially a public roadway through this area that would be constructed, you know, with this redevelopment of Pennhurst. And, you know, it would serve, you know, multiple points of access for this development, but, you know, would also, you know, serve as an improved roadway that would serve the municipal authority and other properties in this area. Yeah.
One question, I don't know which one it's for, but it loops into the road thing. In the last time you guys came in front of us, wasn't there another warehouse that you had on the other side of the railroad tracks out in the peninsula?
Outside, I'm sorry.
Essentially here.
Yes, off the top. That plan, that is actually ag land. So one of our first plans, we had an office building or industrial building planned over there. Didn't meet code, didn't meet a lot of things. It was in ag, so we pulled it off the plan.
Okay. So that you have no plans on doing anything up in the upper part of the peninsula. Everything's below the railroad tracks.
I mean, there is some, just to be clear, there's some farming and things being done on that land now.
Development.
Yes,
As-
but
yeah.
no, we don't plan to put any structures over there at this time.
Okay.
Hence, that matches up with the traffic,
Yeah,
but great
that's why I
question
wanted
to
to
pull
ask.
it all together.
And there used to also be, sorry, I'm gonna do it around.
Yep.
There used to be a building down here as well.
Okay.
That's one of the buildings that moved over here.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so looking at this graphic to wrap up the discussion, showing the overall plan, before we move on to the next step, obviously this is zeroed in on the development area, but how do we get to, the larger public road system? And, with the uses that are anticipated within this redevelopment and, the existing, roadways beyond this site, we felt that it would be most beneficial to the development as well as the surrounding area to drive traffic to the 724 corridor versus down to Bridge Street via, Church or Pennhurst, those roadways. So you'll see on this graphic on the left side, the bottom left corner, we have an arrow showing Brown Drive extension to Route 724. So that is what is proposed as part of the transportation infrastructure with this redevelopment to drive that traffic out to the 724 corridor.
What does that align with on the other side of 724?
Yep, if we go to the next slide, we actually have some conceptual sketches of what that Brown Drive extension would look like. So currently Brown Drive does end at Old Schuylkill Road. Derek does have the property to be able to complete this Brown Drive extension. So it would extend Brown Drive via a new roadway alignment to take Brown Drive out to Route 724. At that location, there is an existing residential driveway that would be located opposite it. This would be anticipated to be a full movement signalized intersection. And as you see on this conceptual plan, we do show dedicated left and right turn lanes being constructed along 724 with that.
So quick question.
Yep.
When we were talking earlier about if it was an industrial building, semi trailers going through here, you're
Mhm.
saying that the Brown Drive would then become basically a through road for semi traffic?
Correct. It would become the route for truck traffic to this development with appropriate improvements to accommodate that. So not only the extension, but, looking at the roadway, the existing section of Brown Drive itself, and having, an appropriate, fully connected roadway system from 724 into the redevelopment area to accommodate the type of traffic that we would anticipate. Yet it all has to go together.
Okay, I just know that that's a fairly, residential, very residential area, so I didn't want to, I just wanted to make sure that I was hearing you right.
Yep.
Because semi-traffic going through a residential area is not ideal.
Is there any
Obviously.
restrictions on hours that semi-traffic can go through the residential area?
In terms of township ordinances,
Yeah.
I can't speak to that. I mean, certainly something we could look at. Catherine saying no, that there
So if
isn't a
they're all
restriction.
going at 3 a.m. to unload Amazon boxes at the big warehouse, just using the name, it's gonna wake Steve up.
It certainly does come down to the users as well. Obviously data centers, would be ideal again
Right.
for not just number of trips generated, but you don't have the truck traffic
Mhm.
and different industrial warehousing uses can have a varying amount of truck traffic. A distribution center is going to be at your highest levels of pretty significant, tractor and trailer type activity. And a lot of that does happen overnight, but you have many, warehousing users that don't operate on that spectrum. So it does, depend on the type of users and the tenants themselves, what those exact operations would be.
And just to kind of underscore that, where the township could have some input on this too, would be like the two biggest complaints that we get are things like turning radius.
Mhm.
So making sure that they're properly accommodated for, because that's gonna reduce backups and things like that. And then also prohibiting them from using like the J break, for
Mhm.
example. Those are some of the things that make the biggest difference on impact to the neighbors for residential. So that's something we'd look to do.
And then is there a light or signal improvement at Old Schuylkill Road as well?
There would not be an opportunity to put a traffic signal on Old Schuylkill Road. We have heard some discussion in the past that the condition that exists on Old Schuylkill Road today is pretty undesirable. Obviously, Old Schuylkill Road, it comes off at an angle off of 724. People can make that movement off of 724 onto Old Schuylkill Road at a pretty high rate of speed because of that low angle. We've heard that people use that route coming off 724, using Old Schuylkill to get up to the Parkerford area. That's not really desirable, kind of using that as a cut through to avoid staying on 724. So this could provide an opportunity to address that. When you have this new extension of Brown Drive, you've got a nice signalized intersection here. There wouldn't necessarily be a need to have Old Schuylkill Road connected at 724 anymore. You could bisect that and just keep Old Schuylkill Road for access to the properties that exist, but don't have it connected to 724 anymore. So those are the type of opportunities that this opens up to really kind of look at, that's really a substandard intersection where Old Schuylkill comes off of 724. It's an opportunity to look at what else can we change when we provide this new opportunity for access. So we certainly understand it's adding traffic through a residential area that exists on Brown Drive. The reality is this Penhurst property, no matter what direction you go, you are going to be going through a residential area. So we felt that it was best to take this route to get the traffic focused on 724 and to be able to do so at a signalized intersection, which we have to meet certain criteria to get. And we felt like this was our opportunity to do that. And it could also build public infrastructure from a roadway perspective that would benefit other properties in the area. So
So you're saying, in theory, if I can summarize for
Yep.
half a sec. So you're saying add the Brown Drive extension, then Old Schuylkill Road between Brown Drive and Schuylkill Road. Essentially make that just a dead end street
Mhm.
that no longer intersects. with
Yep.
make it an
Schuylkill Road.
access road. Yep.
How many properties does that affect down Old Schuylkill?
I think we had looked at that some time ago, but I didn't go back and double check. So I'm not
It
sure.
only looks like one or two.
It's not many.
A good chunk of the golf course.
Yes. Yeah. Mike knows those properties very well.
I think that there is, so Derek now owns both sides where that road would go.
Yeah,
And then I believe there's one here. And I think there is a lot over here, but I'm not sure that it's
I'm
occupied.
looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then along Brown, I believe that there are, for some reason, the number 8 is in my head. There's 11 properties, but I think 3 are owned by the state or the water authority. And I think there's 8 homeowners. You might know that number. Is that right?
Your neighbor, something like that.
I believe there's about
8 or 9,
8 on that side, so.
I hate the idea of closing that off.
That's the same thing that I said before.
Yeah.
Where road that is.
Yeah.
So access is a really important topic, for this redevelopment. That's why we've gone to this level. This does have traffic counts and analysis behind it. It's still preliminary, but this is not just a sketch. It does have the backing of some pretty extensive traffic evaluations, and we did consider the opportunities. And this seemed like, the best fit, when we looked at all the factors.
Has have you guys as a group or whatever reached out to the homeowners on the street and talked about it or kind of discussed things or a township to kind of get together to make sure it's a plan that works or is minimally impactful to the residents that are already there?
I don't believe we have, I know for a fact that I have not, and so, but I know that there were a couple of previous meetings where a couple of meetings were there, and I believe we've met, I think previously at the meetings.
On the planning.
Yeah, so I think we were meeting over there at one point, so there have been some conversations, but no, we have not, full honestly, we have not
Yeah.
reached out and said, sent a mailer and said, let's meet and do that, and that's something that we can do as we move through. But we would anticipate, having to have those conversations with the various property owners.
I just want to
Question,
make sure that's in the
Mindset,
zeitgeist.
yes, of course.
is talking about going back to the old Schuylkill Road and, yeah, one second. Old Schuylkill and Brown. That intersection there, are you looking at that as being a four-way stop, or is that only going to be a two-way stop?
It would likely only need to be a two-way stop there, depending on what happens with Old Schuylkill from Brown down to 724. Certainly the traffic coming in off of 724, we would not want to stop at that location. It's too close to 724, especially if you do have tractor and trailers that are long vehicles, take up quite a bit of space. So we definitely wouldn't want to stop traffic coming in off of 724, but we could probably stop all other approaches at that intersection. But some of it does depend on what happens with that one leg of Old Schuylkill.
Yep.
Derek Stride from Penhurst.
You talk to the mic, please. Thank you.
Hi, Derek Stride from Penhurst LLC. So we actually did have two meetings whenever we bought, which I forget when that was, 16 or 15, with the township here. And then we had one with the planning commission. We did say, hey, it's an open book. We want to know what you guys all want. Obviously, there's lots of different faces, different people that have come and gone. But we did have two meetings before we even started anything, before we actually settled on the property, to ask what the vision was, both from the elected officials, from the zoning, planning and zoning officials, the board, and from residents. So that was, it might have been 7 years ago. And then we had the other round where we presented to you guys what our thinking was. So it's not been that we've done it in a vacuum at all. We actually started with nothing on paper and said, what do you guys want? And then came after a couple of years doing it. Meanwhile, knowing that we needed the heavy lift of $6 million worth of asbestos remediation as one little cherry to pick off the tree. That was a big one. We did that while we're working on all this other stuff. So that I did want to just share that we have had a couple of meetings, again, a long time ago.
Yeah, no,
So I just want to share that.
No, understood and appreciate it. And I was here for some of those. I'm not super long term, but I've been here for a little while. And Steve was there. I just wanted, and this is the extension of Brown Drive is a new part of that discussion. So I wanted to make sure, since this is now more concrete. or
Well, we
set
actually
in.
wrote the check and bought the ground.
No, I know this.
We
This is
knew
why
we
I'm
needed
saying.
an access. And another, so part of the whole state process that we're working on is a whole nother component of that. That's, the legislature is sort of like, I don't know, they say making sausage is a little messy. We're working through that as well, which will maybe clean up some of the vestiges from other lands of the Commonwealth that were deeded in 1898 and haven't been touched since then. So there's a lot of tranches of transactions that will come to fruition and help make the whole thing a lot tidier when it's done. Any questions for me while I'm up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Steve Hacker, 81 Brown Drive.
Yep.
Steve, come up, speak to the mic, please.
Oh, yeah, sorry. They're talking about,
No,
there's some
that's-
casual. All right, Steve Hacker, 881 Brown Drive. There's some casual talk maybe about traffic at that planning commission, but you were talking about buildings. That's what it was. That was the main thrust of everything was buildings, what you were going to do. You were going to tear things down. So just to get to this, so you can put in a nice road between 724 and Brown Drive, but you really can't widen Brown Drive. I mean, there's houses that are really close to the road. My house is 12 feet from the road. There's a house on the corner they can't be more than 6 feet off the road. You can't move those houses. They're houses that are, they're actually historic houses from the 1800s, both mine and the one I'm speaking of, right on the corner. I don't know what your plans are to make it viable for tractor trailer traffic, but it's been rough the last couple of years with all the trucks you've been bringing in and out, hauling stuff out of there. I mean, you brought some really huge trucks in and out of there, and it's tough for one car to pass one of them coming through. We even had one of them even broke down at the corner of Old Schuylkill Road and Brown Drive one day and shut the road down for hours. So I don't know what you think you can do to make that viable for heavy duty traffic, for tractor trailer traffic. And all the traffic in one entrance. I mean, that's what I'm looking at here. I mean, you do have 3 entrances. There is a Church Street, there is a Penhurst Road, and there's this one. You want to dump all of it into one roadway? And go ahead, we'll address that first, then I got something else.
We calculated percentages going one way and the other way, all 3 entrances. And I don't know what the numbers are. We did assume connectivity and improvements on Church specifically, and connectivity and improvements to that intersection of Penhurst and Commonwealth as well. So I mean, we did address that. That's in the report. It's a 400-page report that I think we might have even met with the state highway department. Didn't we?
We did some scoping.
Yeah. So we have looked at that specifically to disperse the traffic.
Well, I just looked at this and the yellow line just went right past my house. So
Okay, so that's not the report. That's just a screenshot or whatever we're talking about.
So this isn't a surprise to me. I knew it as soon as you bought those 2 properties. And LLC Penhurst bought the 2 properties down there. So I've known about this since you did this. There is a way you can get in there without driving through a neighborhood. There is. Unfortunately, you'd have to get some land from the golf course,
Okay.
but right at the cutoff. Let me get my bearings here. So right at the cutoff on 724, right here. There's a road already there, and that's a dirt road all the way out to there. Now it does cut through 2 holes of Ernie's golf course. But I mean, that is a way that you could get heavy duty traffic right at the 724 cutoff, right into this development.
Okay. I don't know where the dirt road is. I mean, we can't really talk about that. But we
I can tell you where it is. It's right here.
I mean,
It's an extension of Penhurst Road. You're familiar with it, right?
Yeah, it'd be an extension of Dunlap. I mean, the roadway, that's an access. So Dunlap.
I have it on my,
Here,
on
Penhurst
Google
goes
right
north
now,
and
if you want to
south.
see what he's talking about.
And it
Or I
ends
said
as-
Penhurst, I
yeah.
meant to say Dunlap.
Okay, yeah, that's where I see it.
On that road.
Oh, I
Right,
see.
that's all private and state-owned property and.
Yeah, it's a state road, not township.
You just got done talking about negotiating with the state.
But it's not, it's the state hospital, not.
Multiple
Commonwealth,
entities in
yeah.
the state.
So anyway, we'll look at that. Can't picture where the dirt road is, but.
I can show you if you'd like.
He can show you, probably just brought it up on his phone.
Okay.
I mean, you talked about stopping this cutoff on 724. You just talked about that. You're saying like that would become an obsolete road.
It wouldn't be necessary.
The cutoff. What a perfect place for a truck to go from 724 cut off.
We would not be able to use Old Schuylkill Road. That would have to be eliminated entirely.
No. I'm on the opposite end. Okay.
All right.
Anyway,
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
You
understand.
see it clearly.
I understand, and that would be something that we would want to look at when it comes to land development process.
There's gotta be, and even without that, like I said, there's gotta be a way to split this traffic up. So it's not all-
There is. Yeah, let me clarify that if I could, just for one moment. So the reason we focused on this is because it is new and it is, significant in terms of the traffic infrastructure. But if you go back to that site plan that is colored, this property will maintain its connection. So the improved roadway that serves through the development, a portion of that is Church. that obviously takes you down to Bridge Street, and it connects with Penhurst that takes you down to Bridge Street as well. And the intention would be that all of those roadways would be utilized in coordination and combination to disperse the traffic from this development so that it would be across every access opportunity. But certainly, with the existing conditions and our opportunities on Bridge Street, we know that we would not be able to get a signalized location at Bridge Street. And we felt that that was important for serving this development, but also serving some of the other uses in the area. There are others that will benefit from that signal to 724. So we felt that was a really important connection. But yes, that is only one piece of the access that would be envisioned for this redevelopment.
It's still going to be 98% of the tractor trailers are going to go in and out of there because you can't get a signal.
The trucks, we agree, and we think
Yeah.
that's the right place for them is on 724. We would agree with that.
But
You really can't widen that road without buying up more houses.
that's also the assumption that they would make it an industrial complex versus an
Correct.
office space or a data center. My
Right.
question is when will you know, like, the timing of the types of tenants that you guys want? I know that's something that's hard to answer because you don't have the tenants gonna build it,
With office space being
but
more and more remote, how much is it desirable?
you have to have some sort of a goal. Like in the next year, we want to have this industrial or this.
So the plan we came for the first time, which Derek was talking about, we came in front of the board. There was actually a grant application for that. The township was part of that with us for the asbestos and things. That that plan was based on a market study done that said that there wanted to be condo offices in Chester County that professionals could own their space, not rent their space, things like that. And then it also talked about the need for industrial space. So you see then since that time, you've had the Amazons come up, the big, where's Amazon going to go? That whole thing went down. And there's been a lot of more industrial space built other places. So we really turned this to say, is this really that industrial space or is this really that data center space? Legislation in the state didn't allow for that. We were like, now it does. The ordinances, your ordinances do not. So it'd be one of those things where we'd have to work out some kind of changes or whatever with the township about the data centers. So yes, we would love data centers instead of industrial buildings. We would love to have those different uses. We'd love to have smaller, but a diverse amount. So that way the property can, withstand the next economic change and the next one and the next one. But we don't know. So like we're here showing you what the latest sketch plan is. We're going to go through that subdivision. That's a lot line change with the state. But they're very particular about what they're willing to give up. And I can show you the line's going to go like this because that's what they want it to do. So we don't really have the bargaining tools and so on with them either. But so to answer your question, I really don't know. I would hope that I would come to you with a sketch plan rather soon that would show industrial buildings. But they're going to be conceptual, and that's until we have tenants and hard people. That's all we could really do. And like I said, we have had interest, but we've had interest in one or two of the smaller industrial buildings, the 30,000 square foot, 50,000 square foot buildings on the left there.
And that interest would be what kind of industrial?
That's hard to answer. I mean, not warehousing.
It's
I'm
not
sorry, say that
warehousing.
again?
Could they be driven off of other developments as far as you getting tenants, like what Jones Motor is going to do and things like that?
I mean, I think that, rising tides raise all boats, right? But couldn't really predict as to what will really come from the Jones Motor side versus anything else. The market's changing. Data centers are becoming the thing that people want to do. You hit the nail on the head. You got to have the infrastructure to do it. It's there. You also have to have renewable energy to do it. And you have to be within a radius of renewable energy to really get those grants, to get those applications. So there's a lot of obstacles to get us to those points, but it is a viable site in terms of that. we have people that regularly talk to us about it. The warehouse uses, they're not real warehouse, they're not product stores, they're not Amazons, they're not that. But they're more industrial space. You know, an organization that might have some trucks and things that'll be stored and they'd have, you know, some office employees.
Have you considered putting renewable energy on that site? Or solar panels or whatever?
Again, there's a lot of grants and a lot of different things about it. Something that property this size and with the slopes that it has and with the orientation, it's not really viable for solar. It wouldn't be very efficient for solar. But again, there's a lot of different things that could occur with the vegetation. Also, it's really hard to see right now with all the trees and everything that's there. It would be shading each other.
That sun comes right across where you tore all those buildings down.
I understand. I mean, so we've designed solar fields, you know, quite a bit. We're doing 3 or 4 currently. Usually they're much larger properties that are much flatter and oriented differently. Usually converted farmland becomes that, not office, not buildings. Again, we're not throwing anything out. We'd love to keep the communications open with you and like to continue to talk about these different
I mean,
things.
it's totally out of the box, and I know you never want to spend money, but going over the Schuylkill River through,
Yeah, I know.
through Linfield,
Yeah.
which is gonna develop that anyway.
It's
would be an ideal
it's like Penhurst is on the
situation.
other side as well.
Well, it's on the other side of the Schuylkill River. and I
Right.
think bridges cost $20 million or whatever, but.
I wish they cost $20 that bridge.
No, I understand. No,
They're gonna put an industrial
I think-
complex in Linfield,
yeah, I know. And I think we've talked about these before
Which will be-
previously.
actually way more accessible than this.
I
one.
would suggest.
So-
If they were linked
maybe
together, it
to
would probably
help
work.
Yeah, I
this
mean, I'd love
conversation
to,
is maybe
we'd
before
love
they
to meet
come
with you
up with a
separately
sketch
and go
plan,
over
ask
these
them
things.
to,
Um, You know, I understand.
I mean, I'm.
Cause this could probably go
I'm probably
on
a little more
for
reasonable.
all
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So, and, you know, respect of time, before you guys come back with a sketch plan, can you meet with the neighbors just so you guys can hash everything out? We can hear their
Yes. of
their
course.
comments and concerns.
Uh-huh.
And then you can kind of make those changes into your sketch plan when you bring that back.
Sure, absolutely. And most of your neighbors are owners and like, there's no real rental properties on there. Okay, so if you don't mind, I'll give you a card and we can talk afterwards.
Are you gonna tear down the houses that you bought? The two houses you bought also, right, they're gone. They're pretty much. Yeah.
All right, great.
There is one
Okay.
comment online.
Online.
Yep, from Elaine Melito.
Hello. I saw on the plan that you're planning to demolish all the Penhurst buildings. Those are historical buildings. Have you looked into that, if that's possible, or how are you going to do that? Or I'm just curious. I was very surprised to see that. That's my comment.
We are keeping, I'm not sure what plan you might be looking at, but in the overall plan, there are red highlighted buildings that are remaining through that area. Due to their condition, I think that that's how we were able to obtain permits to abate them and to tear and to demolish them. I think there's been a lot of preservation organizations that have come through and looked at them, and unfortunately, they're not salvageable. They're in pretty unsafe conditions. The ones that are, we're trying to maintain and keep.
Any other questions? All right,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any general public comment before we close? Motion,
I would like to make a motion to in the meeting.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
See you all in July. Thank you.